Hello and welcome back to yet another Yapping Retro Kid Games. You probably saw that. And this is one of rsmalec's ideas. And I'm not totally sure what he means by it. That's not the point. Retro Kid Games. Now, I wasn't out much doing the gaming stuff out there. And the things that I could do, I was rather bad at. Of course, we played with marbles. I was bad at that as well. There was some soccer going on, of course, or what we call it, football. But it was games. And I was biking around. We were climbing trees and all that. That was not games. There was, not as I remember it, it wasn't a gender separation either. I mean, jumping ropes, we did that, all of us. I wasn't good at that either, but I could also hold the rope and turn it around in good rhythm. So that was always fun. We also had some sort of elastic bands. They placed between them two persons standing there, and they had it down at the ankles first and stood with the feet a bit apart, and then you have to jump in and out in a sort of way that I really didn't understand, but it was very fun just to watch, even for an 8-9-year-old. What are they doing and how did they do that? It was more or less dancing or ballet, but they also twisted that elastic band around, and if they succeeded, the band went up to the kneecaps, and then suddenly they had to redo it again, up there, or something else. Well, I didn't really understand much of it, but it was fun to watch. When I think about what I miss from the old days, it's mostly no games as such, but there is one game that I really don't know if there is any name to it or even. Now, I might remember this totally wrong, but there was one game that I was part of. We had a big, well, probably gravel yard or something, or sand, not totally sure. Inside there we had, I think we had a square. And that square was cut in 4. So there were 4 minor squares equal. And then in the middle of those squares there were a little circle. In that circle there was a stick. That stick could be anything, but it was the stick. This is important. It was the stick. Now, I don't remember exactly how it went. If there was a ball involved, it might actually be. But there was a challenge. I'm not totally sure again. I'm not totally sure if the rules are like this, because this is like 50 years ago and I haven't been playing it and I haven't seen it and I've never read about it. But when I saw Retro Kid Games from rsmalec, I thought of this immediately. One of the 4 players is going to challenge someone else for a piece of his territory. Each of the squares are territories. You are standing in the far corner of your square, all of them. The stick is lying in the middle in that little circle, and once you one of the contestants claims that I'm challenging, and he says the name of that one, and then everybody runs immediately. The one who has been named is actually running towards the stick. And as soon as he grabs the stick, he shouts, stop. The other 3 needs to be standing absolutely still. And here's a bit of vague. I think he is supposedly going to throw the stick at someone. He can take anyone. It really doesn't have to be the one who's shouted it. But the nearest one is, of course, the best one. Because if you miss the throw, you're going to lose a piece of your territory. If you hit the guy with the stick, you are going to grab a piece of his territory. And this is also something that I really don't remember how it went, but let's say whoever wins to take the territory, he stands on his territory. He's not allowed to go anywhere near. He just have to be sure that he can take a piece of the other's territory. And of course, if you are diagonal to each other, that's not much you can take. You can only take like a little piece, like a cake piece from it, and that's not much. So of course you have to be strategic. Which one am I neighboring? That's probably the best part. And should I take his part towards the circle, or should I take far further back? Because the further back I take, he has a very shorter distance away from the circle. That means that he is not going to run that fast. It was many strategic things in that one. I don't really remember the exact part. Now, I wasn't the fast one, so I often got losing territory. But the thinking of who I'm going to take next if I was the one to be called out. Now, they knew that I was very bad at throwing stuff, so if they named me, they had 50% chance that I wouldn't hit them with the stick. But I got myself some territories now and then. I absolutely did. And then it had to be standing on both feet, taking the stick, and trying to take a piece of that territory that you would love to be. And the old border between the countries should then be wiped out in the gravel, so your country was really seeing how it grew. And I can even remember just watching this game. I really liked this. I have no idea what's going, if it's still out there, even if it has a name or anything. But that was the first retro kid game that ever come up in my head, except for the marbles and stuff. And then pretty soon I went inside and keep on doing my plastic models, so I was out of contention anyway. Well, I hope any one of you can remember any fun kid games that you played and really enjoyed. Thanks for listening, and bye.